Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we just finished putting a satellite in synchronous orbit over Jewel, and now we're trying to figure out what to do next. It's probably going to be drop a rover on Ike, but we'll see. Well, science data from space around Minmus, that's easy. We'll grab that. Science data from surface of Ike. We'll do that. Excellent. Okay. So, space around Minmus. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves one of our satellites, then. The Odd One Mark II Stupid Edition, I guess. That'll be fine. Also, Flight Engineer, why do you have this window right in the middle of everything? Oh man. Look at this thing. This thing is so ancient. Okay. Where's the thermometer on here? Has to be one. I guarantee you there's a thermometer here somewhere. Maybe it's down here? For reasons? No, it's right here. Log temperature. Transmit data. There we go. Contract complete. Well, that was easy. Back to the Space Center. Now, what else do we have for contracts available now that we've cleared that one up? Did that regenerate any new ones? Let's find out. Equatorial orbit of Minmus. No thanks. Recover a component from orbit of Kerbal. No thanks. Position a satellite in an equatorial orbit of Duna. About 10,000 kilometers out. Argument of periapsis at 67.5 degrees. It wants a materials bay. I think we're not going to do that. We've already got one there. I mean, it's further out, which is better. So I think we're going to pass on that one, and we're just going to do the science data from surface of Ike, which of course means that we are going to need to get out one of our rovers. So we are going to be getting out the Geraldo Mark II Semi-Atmo. And we're going to modify this guy. In fact, this is the modified version. Let's just get the Geraldo Mark II out. And let's take a quick look at what he's got on him here. I think this is all fine. We've already got all of the rovers that we could or all of the science materials, all of the science experiments that we could possibly want in here. I think this is good. So this thing has 12,851 meters per second of delta V. We do have the second Rockamax tank here, so I think we're good to go. I think this is going to be overkill, as it is, but we have so much money. We're making tons and tons of money. This is a very profitable venture, this space exploration thing. Who would have thought? So let's go ahead and launch this guy to Ike. And now we can do science data from space around Jewel, so that'll be handy. And I've never actually done a synchronous orbit before. That was actually kind of fun. Okay. Let's go. Off you go, MechJeb. So we don't need body, surface, land for now. We'll just have the orbital information for Flight Engineer. You don't have an atmospheric analysis for flying low? Okay. That's kind of amusing. Well, this one doesn't seem to be having much for roll issues yet, although it looks like there are some developing, which is a wee bit unfortunate. But regardless, we have so much lifting power in this thing. Like, this is going to end up being our maneuver stage, basically guaranteed. This up here is probably going to end up mostly being our braking and landing stage. Because as usual, this is very overbuilt. Interestingly though, the Jewel satellite was not amazingly overbuilt. we ended up in the last stage there, and we burned off, what? Probably about a third of that xenon gas? So that's interesting. Tells me that when we go to Elu, changes will need to be made. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think we're going to have any real problems landing this guy on Ike. The only reason why I failed so many times on Duna was because I really thought that atmosphere was thicker than it was. I don't know why. I knew it was thin, but I didn't think it was that thin. RCS, please stop this flip. Thank you very much. And now you can stop. Okay, so we can go ahead and ditch our fairing. Get out of here, you fairing. I'm also going to go ahead and turn on brakes before I forget when we're landing. Oh boy. So we don't really need to do an inclination burn for Duna, if I recall correctly. Where are you at, Duna? Here's Duna. Set as target. Also set it as focus for now. We may change that later, but probably not. Yeah, Duna has the correct inclination, so. When are we going to do this burn? McJeb? Okay. Now we're warping, at least. That's something. We don't need the ascent guidance window anymore. Let's go ahead and open up the maneuver planner. And we will ditch our booster stages. They were very handy in getting us to orbit. Excellent. So this thing is a bit on the heavy side. We're probably not going to have this thing at Duna like we did with the previous one, because we dropped this tank for the semi-Atmo version. Whereas for this, we're just using the standard Geraldo Mark II. We're going to run out of fuel for the Rockomax first stage over here relatively quickly. There we go. So we should probably probably go back to Kerbin here. Come on. Focus view. There we go. That's exactly what I was looking to do. And let's just go ahead and burn off about 900 meters per second. A little less. That'll be fine. Execute that. And that'll get us out of Kerbin. I'm going to go ahead and physics warp for the turn, but we're not going to physics warp for the burn, because I don't like having 90-degree angles in my rocket. It's a pet peeve of mine. I don't like it when my rocket bends 90 degrees. I feel like that's probably a bad thing. Oh boy. So how much are we getting paid for this science data from Surface of Ike? I don't actually know. We may have to pop back to the Space Center to find that out. Or we could just do it and find it out that way. Because we were planning on doing it anyway, and it just helps offset the cost. So that's fine. Let's see. This does have the reaction wheel on it. It doesn't have the big ol' the big ol' solar panels, but that's okay. Theoretically, we shouldn't, strictly speaking, need them. We should be able to get most of it done with this up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and warp until we have escaped Kerbin here in 11-ish days. Excellent. Get out of the way, Kerbin. We're out of here. We don't want to live on that planet anymore. Fantastic. Oh, hey, look at that. Let's cancel that. And let's burn prograde a little bit. Because we managed to break our escape somehow. Not entirely clear how, but it's probably a floating point issue. Either that or we just briefly clipped a gravitational influence. One or the other. But we can fix it. So let's just burn prograde a little bit here. We do not currently have any contact. A little weird. Let's just go ahead and extend our antenna then. There we go. And now we're escaping again. Excellent. Here in 5 days. Make that 3 days. Okay. So, once we get out here, we're going to go ahead and warp to here. Once we get out here, then we are going to probably not bother with any sort of inclination change. And we're just going to do a very simple home and transfer to target. I think that's all we need to do. Let's go ahead and focus our view on Duna. And let's create this node and see what it comes up with. What did it come up with? It didn't quite get us there. Do we need to go more prograde or more retrograde? Let's find out. It's like this way. There we go. That gets us an encounter. It's kind of a weird encounter. I think we can fine-tune it, to be sure. Looks like that is pretty close to the best we're gonna get. It's still gonna be really weird. Can we adjust our inclination at the same time? We can. Look at that. I want to try to match Ike's inclination from here as best as we can. Ike is actually equatorial. That surprises me a bit. I know I figured that out before, but I guess I forgot. So let's just go ahead and try to go equatorial-ish. We can't go perfectly equatorial from here. We can go pretty close. So look at that. That's not bad. We don't need to go in this close either. So let's go ahead and... Oop, that was too much. Oop. This direction is opposite to the direction we want to be going. So let's go ahead and fine-tune this a bit to go... We lost our encounter. In that case, we simply come in as far away as we can, and we'll reverse our direction once we get there. It would appear that we don't have the encounter to actually do this properly-ish, but let's go ahead and see about lowering this a bit to try to match planes a bit more. There. I think that's about as good as we're going to get. Execute that. Fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and physics warp the turn. There we go. Don't really have any need to deploy our solar panels on our actual rover yet. We also initiated the first flyby of Lathe, apparently, and escaped the gravitational influence of Jewel, and escaped the gravitational influence of Lathe, and initiated the first flyby of Vol, and escaped the gravitational influence of Vol. Well, there's where all of our money came from. Okay, that's fine. So this burn will be in about 300 days. So once we get over to here, then we're going to do a braking burn as little as possible. Well, no, we're going to do a braking burn, reverse our direction, and change our inclination all in one burn, if we can. I don't think we can. We'll just reverse our direction. We'll have plenty of delta V for it. I'm not concerned about that. So yeah, we'll just reverse our direction, and then we'll change our inclination to match Ike's. And then we'll just do a very simple Hohmann transfer. It won't be too bad. And that'll be happening in, 90 days when we get this burn done. We'll set up a braking burn at that point. And we are actually going to have this thing at Duna, it looks like. It's going to take us 741.5 meters per second to get here. And we've got 1,063. I wish we had 10,000 delta V in this thing. I'd go to Elu. I'd be like, screw this Duna thing. But no. I mean, we do have 10,000 delta V. But I'm not going to Elu. If we had 10,000 delta V in our first stage, plus all of the other delta V that we have, then I'd go to Elu. But let's not do that. There we go. So I've been thinking as well. I am still committed to landing a Kerbal on Duna and Ike and returning them home. But I'm thinking once we get beyond there, we might want to stick to just probes. One-way things. Like satellites around and then dropping a lander. Because we start to hit insane delta V requirements to get there and get back. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now as far as the future of this series goes. So here we are. Let's go ahead and grab this, add maneuver, retrograde, a bunch. Actually, that was flipping it. Yeah, that flipped it. That's fine. We go ahead and flip it. And we just do something like that. Want to keep it big and wide for now. Maybe not. Maybe we go ahead and just go just outside of Ike's orbit. Something like that. Okay, go ahead and execute that. That'll be in 313 days. Excellent. So you can see our inclination is still going to be a bit off in there, but it's pretty close. It won't take too much to correct that, and in fact we probably wouldn't even need to correct it. It's probably close enough to get an encounter. But that's fine. We have enough delta V, so we could do it. I suppose it just kind of depends on how long I want this to take. I mean, we're already looking at getting into a second episode for this mission, so... And the further out we get, the more of that will happen. Which is another reason why I'm thinking about not having manned missions beyond Duna. I do want to have boots on the ground on Duna, though. Will I make them be a colony? Or will I get them home? Well, I want to get them home. If I have to make them a colony, I can. But that wouldn't be the ultimate goal. Another 100 days here. Fantastic. And I'm just thinking it'll be really easy to land him on Ike and get him home. That'll be no harder than Gilly, probably. A little more delta V, but not too bad. As far as Duna goes, I'm just trying to figure out how exactly I want to handle that. We technically haven't landed on another planet as of yet. Also, I'm a little bit confused about that, but whatever. I guess the Geraldo Semi-Atmo is flying around. Whatever. Okay, so this burn is going to be happening momentarily. We'll be ditching our primary stage during this burn and switching over to our maneuvering stage. In our maneuvering stage, we have way too much fuel, as expected. We're almost certainly going to need some sort of a reconnaissance, or not reconnaissance, some sort of a rendezvous system set up with that, I think, with Duna. It's going to be awkward. Either that or we'd need a mining operation to refuel after we'd landed. That is another possibility. Have some sort of a detachable refiner that we land with, detach, and then can... Or, well, that we then land with, refine the ore that we gather into fuel, and then once we've filled our fuel tanks, detach and head home, or something. I don't know. It will be interesting, to be sure. I'll have to come up with some sort of a plan, but that's probably not going to be for a while. We'll get this guy onto Ike, and then we'll probably send a Kerbal to Ike unless we get a good contract. And then we'll get the Kerbals home from Ike, and then we'll think about Duna. So that probably won't be for another... at least another week or two. We'll be here at Duna for a while. Anyway, this burn will be finishing momentarily. Once it does, then we'll just circularize at the periapsis. Nice and simple. In fact, we can go ahead and get that ready right now. Circularize at the next periapsis. And then as soon as this node is done, we will create and execute. And there goes our reversal. So that we're going the same direction. Excellent. Lots of Ike encounters there, which tells me we definitely don't actually need to change our inclination. And it makes me think that maybe, just maybe, we can get one as simply as doing this. Yeah, look at that. Very basic Hohmann transfer there. And that gives us an interesting encounter. Let's see here. Where is that maneuver node? Here it is. Look at that. Right there. There it is. Easy peasy. Execute that node, 100 meters per second. Don't even need to do a bunch of things. Oh boy. It's nice to be in the right plane. Gotta love it. 16 days until that burn. Well, that won't be too long. Whoa, that's kind of dizzying. Let me zoom out. There we go. And this would throw us into a kind of weird orbit of Duna. In fact, we would impact Duna if we did nothing with this trajectory. That's interesting. We're not going to do that. This thing would not survive entry to Duna. It is not designed for that in the slightest. So once we're done with the Duna system, I've already pretty well outlined the plan for that. Once we're done with the Duna system, we will move on to Dress. And at Dress has no moons, correct? This is actually not even really a planet. I think this is actually an asteroid. But at Dress, we'll just very, very simply drop a lander on it after we put in a communication satellite. And then we'll pretty much call it a day there. And then we'll spend a lot of time in the Jool system. We'll land on all of the bodies there with a rover. And we'll crash something into Jool, and then we'll head to Elu. And I believe Elu has no moons either, so Elu will be about as quick as Dress. Maybe at the end, I'll send a Kerbal to Elu. We'll see. At any rate, we are definitely going to land on all of the things. But as of right now, most of them we're not going to land on with a Kerbal. It's just not very viable. So let's go ahead and get back to a focus on Duna. And we now have this happening. Let's focus on Ike. And let's just go ahead and do a quick breaking burn here. Get down to 45k should be fine. And we'll execute that node in 3 days. Oh wow, look at that. That's kind of picturesque right there. Ike coming out from behind Duna. Glorious. With my monstrosity in the foreground. I love it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, and next episode, we'll be doing our landing on Ike. See you all then.